Morning everyone, this is 1 a.m. in the morning of 28th July. I'm gonna say that I'm not a great English speaker and I'm not native speaker, so if I made any grammatically mistake and if my information is up, I'm an idiot. Thank you. Have you ever heard about Mongol invasions of Japan or Genko in Japan? Well, it was an event that the army of the Mongol Empire, consisting of the Mongol, Chinese, and Korean soldiers, invaded Japan twice in 1274 and 1281. At that time, the Mongol Empire ruled over half of Asia and parts of Europe. It is a powerful nation that is feared by all kingdoms. They brought Korea under the Yuan Dynasty, which surrendered allegiance to the Mongol to be as an ally in the Japanese invasion. Although the Mongol had vastly superior military strength than the Japanese, but both of the invasions suffered devastating failures due to the catastrophic natural disaster, massive loss of the troops and resources from the two invasions. It's brought about the decline of the Mongol Empire. A little bit of background. After the rapid expansion of the Mongol territory in 1231 to 1259, King Gojong of Goryeo realized that it was very difficult to resist the mighty Mongol, and resisting the Mongol would have serious consequences. Therefore, Goryeo conquered the Mongol Empire in 1258 until 1270. When the Mongol had completely conquered Goryeo, the Yuan Dynasty of the Mongol Empire was fully formed. Japan at that time was ruled by Shiken, who came from the Hojo family, the family that has been in power since 1203 on behalf of the shogun of the Kamakura shogunate, which at that time was the shogun Prince Koreyasu. So Kublai Khan sent an envoy to Japan, and the one who received it is Hojo Tokimune, who was the shogun's regent at that time. And here was the letter said: "Hello, fellas country. Goyo and I are good friends, and since you are with them, should be great people and obey to me, be docile and hand over the land to me, please. Thank you." So like wise people would do, Tokimune and his friends decided to stay silent. Not once, but 5 times. On top of numbers, the Mongol continued to send demands, but every time they visited, they were not even allowed to step on land. After conscientiously rejecting Mongols, the Imperial Court suggested to compromise. Well, it's not happening. Maybe violence is the only answer. And here comes the first invasion. Kublai Khan actually wanted to make a war since he got rejected twice, but he thinks that it is not the time yet, and he still has to gather a lot of resources and a big board in order to invade Japan. Until after the Mongol carried out the policy of what so-called consumed the Korea, in which Kublai Khan's daughter was married to the heir of Goryeo. The shipbuilding and formation of the naval fleet then began on the southeastern of Korea. Later, in 1271, Kublai Khan established the Yuan Dynasty, and then in 1272, King Shungyol of Goryeo told Kublai Khan that Japanese don't even know how sacred the world is. Please build me for 150 ships and I will conquer Japan and I will make you proud. Finally, in November 1274, the combined fleet of the Mongol Empire with 15,000 Mongol and Chinese troops and 8,000 Korean soldiers, along with 300 large warships and 400 to 500 small warships, they approaching Hakata Bay on Kyushu Island. As soon as the Mongol army landed, it was attacked by about 10,000 Japanese soldiers and samurai who were waiting in line. But since the Mongols possessed foreigner weapons, including superior armament such as thermic grenades, armor-piercing arrow, the Mongol easily conquered the Japanese army in a ground battle at Hakata Bay. However, the Mongols were unable to advance further because they have to wait for some reinforcements. And when reinforcements arrived and the Mongol armies prepared to disembark, at dawn, a powerful typhoon arrived and then destroyed much of the Mongol armies. The Mongol soldiers tried to escape, thousands of soldiers were drowned. The survivors swam to the shore of Hakata. However, The smaller, more maneuverable Japanese ships that survived from the storm attacked the rest of Mongol warships. After the invasion, the remaining Mongol allied fleet returned to Koryo, and the Japanese praised the storm as a storm that gods came to protect Japan and named it Kamikaze, or the wind god. Japan. After war, everyone realized that it might be a war anytime soon. The Kamakura shogunate was able to strengthen power from different parties and political stability was rendered. Thus, in 1275, the Kamakura shogunate made a great effort to prepare for the Mongol invasion, which Japanese were sure would happen. In addition, the government organized the samurai in Kyushu and ordered construction of the large stone wall, aka something I can read, and other defenses at combat potential points, such as Hakata Bay. The 2-meter high stone wall was built in 1276. On the religious side, the shrine was rebuilt after it was previously destroyed by the Yuan army. In the Mongol side, after the first invasion has failed, Kublai Khan sent 5 ambassadors to Kyushu Islands to surrender. For the 7th time, Governor Tokimune responded by beheading the Yuan ambassador, who still have their tomb in Kamakura at Tosunokushi today. As ambassadors were executed, Yuan had no idea what had happened. Kublai Khan also saw that it might be a miscommunication or the substance does not reach the destination. Therefore, a new ambassador was sent to negotiate again. It was at any time in 1279, but Tokimune still ordered the execution for the ambassador. And here comes the second invasion. In June 1281, the Mongol fleet was divided into two. The first fleet consisted of 900 warships with approximately 40,000 Mongols, Chinese, and Korean forces, while the second from South China consisted of 3,500 warships with approximately 100,000 troops. The Mongols' plan was originally to unite warships and attack them in coordinated manner, but because China's main fleet has been delayed by the massive fleet and military arrangements, the Korean fleet took action and suffered heavily losses at Tsushima until the army saw they had to retreat. Later in the summer, the Korean and Chinese fleet were able to successfully capture Iki Island and attack the island of Kyushu, known as the Battle of Koan, or the Second Battle of Hakata Beach. But from the good handling of Japan causing the Mongol forces to be driven back to their ships, the much larger Japanese army reinforced along the coast was able to easily defend the Mongol reserves. Until August 15, Typhoon Kamikaze swept through the coast of Kyushu for 2 days. Most of the Mongol fleet was destroyed. More than 100,000 Mongol and allied soldiers died at sea. Part of the reason that the Mongol and allied fleets were wrecked by the storm came from the fact that Goryeo and China were too rushed to build ships. In addition, the Goryeo and Southern Songs boats, which are more favorable for sailing at sea, are too costly to maintain and cost too much to build one. Therefore, they built the same ship as the first invasion, which had a flat hull. Marine ships generally have a curved keel to prevent capsizing. It is difficult to operate such a ship in typhoon seas. Oh, that's... oh no. Oh god. So, I ran out of footage and here's a fact that you don't need to know. Alright. Military relevance, bombs and cannons. Early examples of gunpowder warfare include the Mongol invasions. The employment of explosive bombs was one of the most notable technological advancements during the war. The explosives, known as thunder crash bombs in Chinese, were launched from catapults and inflict harm on the enemy soldiers. The Japanese Mongol invasion scrolls include an image of a bomb. However, Thomas Conlan has established that the projectiles were added to the scrolls in the 18th century and should not be considered an eyewitness representation of their use. However, archaeological findings have proved the presence of the bomb in Yuan. The Kyushu Okinawa Society for Undersea Archaeology uncovered multiple bomb shells in an underwater shipwreck off the coast in Japan. X-ray of other shells by Japanese experts revealed that they carried gunpowder and were also packed with scrap iron. During the invasion, the Yuan soldiers may have utilized cannon too. The taihaki, the bell-shaped weapon that emits hundreds of iron balls and generate a thunderclap sound. In that era, Japanese samurai would use a long-range weapon such as a yumi bow and a long weapon like a naginata spear. The melee weapon would be a tashi sword, which is where Ghost of Tsushima was blamed because the game used a katana sword, which in that era has not been yet born, unlike in the game. The first Mongol invasion of Japan was not defeated by a single person. In 1274, a catastrophic cyclone struck Kyushu, Japan, destroying the true Mongolian army. Tsushima is a Japanese island off the southern coast of Japan. Nearly halfway between Japan and South Korea, the Mongols landed and conquered the island as part of a border south of Japan's mainland. Tsushima served as a rest station between Korea, which they had previously conquered, and Japan, which they intended to conquer. Jin is portrayed as a sole survivor of an attempt by 80 Tsushima samurai to repel the Mongol invasion, which was a historical event, and there were no recorded survivors of the attack. And Tsushima governor who led the charge was So Sukekuni, as you see. Alright, so in 1271, a family of Italian travelers traveled from Venice, arrived to Mongol, and a person in that family became a close friend of Kublai Khan and had been by his side serving Kublai Khan as a private ambassador for many years. And guess what? His name is Marco Polo. You know that guy, that traveled around the world. And another fact, Mongol was the first group of people who used biological weapons in war. Yes, there are. So the very first time that was when the Mongol army invaded the Italian city of Kaffa in 1246. So the invasion had been going on for so long, and they unable to break through city wall, which had many soldiers, and many soldiers of Mongol were killed. And instead of bringing the body to the shore, the Mongol army took it beyond to the next level. Guess what? They're bringing the bodies of soldiers who died from the plague and packed them into the rock launcher instead of a rock. They use a human bullet instead of a rock, and then shot them into the city Kaffa. Can you believe it? You shot the body into the city, and causing the plague up in the city of Kaffa, and it actually worked because so many people died in the Kaffa and the city is collapsed, and Mongol can finally conquer that city. Yes, what a big dream. The vanquished Mongol Empire lost most of its naval capability, and its naval defense capability was severely weakened since a considerable amount of lumber was cut down. Korea, which was in charge of shipbuilding for the invasion, lost its ability to build ships and defend the sea. According to the Chinese survivor, Commander Fan Wen, who chose the best remaining ships and sailed away after the hurricane, leaving over 100,000 troops to drown. The Japanese attacked and arrested tens of thousands of people after being stuck on Taka Island for 3 days. They were moved to Hakata, where the Japanese killed all Mongols, Koreans, and Northern Chinese. The Chinese in the south were spared but made slaves. According to the Korean source, 7,592 of the 26,989 Koreans that embarked on the Eastern Route fleet never returned. According to the Chinese and Mongol sources, the casualty rate is between 16 and 90%. And yeah, I think that's it. All I need to do now is just continue talking. I'm just kidding. So like I said, I made this video for like 4 or 5 days now, and I put a lot of effort in it, and I would appreciate if you guys like give some compliment, not just like in the comments, like just like you did before in a early video. And and to the teacher, if you watch this far, because I don't want to make it more, because it took too long, man. And the 15 minutes, it would be like too harsh if you could like consider make it 10 minutes or anything, because the information is more than those posted people. Yeah, thank you. If you guys enjoy this video, it's good, because I'm not. Thank you. Bye.